Welcome to the Returning Teachers session of the Modeling Our World with Mathematics Summer Institute. In case we haven't met, I'm Arlene Crum, Director of Mathematics at OSPI, and I'm joining you today from the ancestral lands of the Puyallup tribe. I'd like to take you on a journey today to think back to your experience with teaching Modeling Our World with Mathematics, even in the crazy year that it was, and to think about what advice you would offer to teachers who are teaching it for the first time this year. And then also to think about how you will engage with it this year, because hopefully it'll be a little different. So first of all, I'd like you to reflect on your experience, and there'll be journal opportunities for you to do that in the Moodle. So first of all, I want you to think about what was your favorite Modeling Our World with Mathematics module, lesson, or activity, and why did you like it so much? Was it how your kids reacted to it? Was it how much they learned? Was it how everybody dove in together? Think about that and reflect on what made that activity your favorite. So you'll do a journal entry about that one. And then I also want you to share about who takes Modeling Our World with Mathematics at your school and how is it incorporated into your sequence. This will be a really helpful response for us as we continue to refine and enrich the course. So if you can tell us about the students that you work with in this course and how it fits in with what they've done in the past and what their future looks like in mathematics. The next thing we'd like you to stop and think about and reflect on in the Moodle is, what did you learn or experience during distance learning that you want to keep? I call this your silver lining. What is the thing that you learned or your students experienced that even when you're all together in the classroom and someday with no mask and all sitting together, that you still want to continue to do with your students? What was that valuable thing that you all learned, or you in particular develop some capability with that you never thought you would before? And then also think about what challenges you see for the course in the upcoming year. Yes, we will have to continue with dealing with our health circumstances, but in general, what do you think would be a challenge for you? And maybe how would you overcome it? So I'd like you to take some time, and you can stop the video and do these now if you want, or you can watch the whole video and then just go ahead to the three different parts of your responses that you'll be sharing today. So that's part one. And now think for a moment, just pause the video if you like, but think about what advice you would offer. What do you wish someone had told you before you started teaching Modeling Our World with Mathematics? We're going to start some discussion boards within the Moodle, and I'd like to invite you to participate in any of those listed here, or even to start your own. So thinking about creating a culture for learning, what did you do to really help your students believe that they could learn and be capable in mathematics and support each other? And how did you get the students to do the talking rather than you standing in front of them? Hopefully, well, I guess you couldn't stand in front of them last year, but rather than this year, maybe standing in front of them, how will you get them to be the ones who take control of the conversation and do the learning? So those first two that I just mentioned, those are really very valuable for teachers as they engage in getting started, that first module that we have. And then as they get into the more mathy part of the course, what would you share with them about context-based teaching and learning? What advice would you give them as they, perhaps for the first time, rather than teach content, here's a word problem, start with the context and pull the mathematics out of it? And how do you assess your students in Modeling Our World with Mathematics? And I'm not talking about points or grading. I'm talking about, how do you decide whether or not they've learned what you wanted them to learn? Whether it's formative assessments throughout the lessons or the performance tasks that they do at the end of each topic. So what advice can you give about assessing students? The new teachers got to dive in pretty deep on the health and fitness module. So thinking back to how you taught that and what went well and what your struggles or challenges were, what advice would you offer them going forward with health and fitness? We had a tech tools session this morning with Andy Boyd, and anything that you can share with them with all of the tech tools that you did last year, please feel free to share conversation about tech tools. And then also this afternoon, we had that universal design for learning session. So think about how you may have utilized the principles of design for learning, universal design for learning last year, even if maybe you didn't even know that they existed. So how did you help all of your students learn? And then new teachers always wonder about course management details of how did you handle the materials, and did you print things for students? Did you make packets? How did you do it? So any advice that you have to offer for course management details. So we're asking that you get involved in those discussion boards and conversations, and I'm sure the new teachers will post some questions and you can post some advice and hopefully get into some really good conversation that will be helpful to them, but also helpful to you as you think about going forward this year. Which brings us to the third part that we'd like you to engage in as part of this, and that's your follow-up work. I'd like you to select the lesson. It could be a lesson that you taught last year that went really, really well, or a lesson that you taught last year that really went not well, or a lesson that you wanted to teach, but you shied away from it because of being in the circumstances that you were in distance learning. Share why you chose the lesson, and then dive in on that lesson, describing maybe changes that you'll make or what potential student misconceptions you're thinking about, or other teaching details about that lesson, about really just sort of gearing your mind up to get ready to teach that lesson. And then also tell us, how will your experience with this lesson, either last year or what you're hoping to do this year, impact other lessons that you will teach in the course, either in this course, Modeling Our World with Mathematics, or even in other courses that you teach? How are you bringing this forward to make some impact in your teaching? And then give us some idea as to why you're excited to teach this particular lesson this year, whether it's because you're going to do things very differently, or because you had a great experience with it last year, or you're just really looking forward to diving in on it. So tell us more about that. So those three parts: reflecting on your experience last year, offering advice to new teachers, and then doing some planning for next year. That's what we'd like you to engage in as a returning teacher. And we would really love to ask you to stay engaged with us. Feel free to reach out anytime. Let us know what's working or what's not working. Or if you find a busted link, let us know so we can update things, because links are tough to keep track of. So I hope you have a great year and that you find this short journey of reflecting and moving forward to be useful. Thanks.